So we've had a measure up for a new fridge. Four fixings holding it in. Two that side, another two that side, and then also two sneaky little ones. One under the sink that was there, and one in the lower cupboard there, which were holding it in and just through the outside, but she's free. So we're going to take this out, have a measure up, and see if we can get a bigger compressor fridge instead in the same hole, or maybe not the same hole. Might lose the bottom cupboard, modify the cabinet, and then we can have a nicer fridge in there, bigger, nicer fridge. That's the plan. So, two grills are off to get access to the fridge. Just trying to find the flue pipe still connected, so we've got to undo that screw. George, undo the screw. That should release that. And then we've got to get to the gas pipe, which we've not located yet. On the bottom hole, there's a bit more space in this one, but the newer fridge will sit lower down. I'm going to get rid of this and make a shelf a bit lower to fit the bigger fridge in. The only thing we've got to watch is the wheel arch, but the new fridge does have a cutout at the back of the bottom, so it should fit. We'll have a good measure up once we move this. That's the power cable, and that goes up to junction box up there, so we'll be able to get to that once we pull it out a little bit more. The gas pipe, gas pipe, there you can see that. Gas pipe's the same. It is, let me try and get it for you. It's got a coil, so you can pull it out and it's got a bit of flex to it. Let's try and get that on focus. Can't quite see it, but it's over in that back corner somewhere. So we go back around the other side, try and pull the fridge out a bit more now the flue pipe is disconnected. So that's all free now. And then we'll try and get to the connections. Right, so we're back around the other side. And try and pull it out a bit more. Georgie, pull it out there. Is it moving? There we go. A bit more room now, and you can see we've got the gas connection there that goes to the big, it goes to a coil, just a big loop on top to give you a bit of flex of pulling it out. And then we've got the mains connections under this plastic cover and the 12 volt to that little chocolate block there, and that's it. So we'll make sure the gas is off, we'll get that disconnected, and then the new fridge won't need gas. So we've got the 4 isolator points there, which do have pictures on the front of what each one does. So I'll turn that off. It's turned off at the bottle anyway, and then the gas pipe, when I disconnect that, I'll blank it off and just tuck it down the back, and we just leave it there. So if we do ever put another fridge back in that needs gas, we can just connect it straight back up again. George is undoing that. I'll get this cover on. Probably hasn't been undone for 30 years. Off. There we go. We've got our mains connection there, so we need to take that off, and we can put an isolate it down the back somewhere, because again we won't need the 240 volt, but we might do later on. Here, so that's our 12 volt in. Look at things. Yeah, I think so. So we can just connect there. Loosen the clamp. Just so, let's get that out of the way. That's that off, that's that off. Now the fridge should be free to come out now. Not break anything. That was not actually that heavy. It just fits. Right. Is that the other way? What about this one? What does this one do? Ah, that's the piezo ignition for the gas light. That one. So that is on a separate feed off this junction box on here. Looking at the wiring diagram before, it's 12 volts again. I don't know why they didn't just share one. But anyway, so that's the 12 volt ignition. So we'll take that off. And that's the fridge, free, and 30 years of dust underneath as well. Nice. Right, so we get the fridge out of the way, and then we can have a measure up. Right, so we've got the old fridge out. We've got dimensions of the new fridge. So 485 wide, which is pretty much exactly what we got. We've got slightly more than that. Depth 455. So it's pretty much the same as the other one. By the time it pokes out a little bit further than the cabinet, we've got plenty of clearance at the back. And height wise, this is the only bit we'll have to make a few mods to. 79 high, so roughly it's going to be below this lower. So we'll take this panel off, and then we'll have to cut this down a little bit, and then we'll put a shelf in like that one but lower down, and that should give us all the room we need. Right, I can go outside. Like this is part of when the cabinet was made, and as soon as it's screwed in, as they built it, so we might have to chop that off and sand it. And then this bit must come off from inside here. Hopefully there'll be some screws somewhere. Yep, one there, and the other one. It's awkward together. See, this cabinet was built not in the van, so accessing some bits now isn't very easy. Right, I think I'm just going to take this bit of ply out completely. There's not going to be enough material left to make it worth screwing anything to, so I think we'll get rid of it, and then we'll just use this as a baseboard, pack it up, and we can screw it to the floor the right distance out so it lines up with the front, and we can mess about after that. I just don't think it's worth keeping this. It's only really attached with a staple that end and this bit that end, so I don't think it's worth it, so I think we'll just chop it out. Breaking them, yeah, like just a staple in that end. So we'll just staple it up. Means we've got a good edge for the bit of wood we need to screw down on there. Right, so we've cut the carpet out so we can get to a nice fixing on the floor, nice and flat. We're going to reuse this, which was the original front of the cabinet that the shelf sat on for the fridge. So we're going to now move that down to the bottom there. We'll cut that in square with a chop saw, same with that end. Screw that to the floor, and then we'll use part of the other bit of decent wood for the cabinet so it matches, and we'll just put an infill piece in there so it looks like it should be there. The baseboard for the fridge, we need to now make a cutout, if I can get it in, for the wheel arch. So that'll sit in there like it did before, but we need to cut out for the wheel arch now. So that will fit, and then what we'll do is we'll make some blocks of wood the same height as this ledge from the floor, screw them to the bottom of this, and then that's sit in. Once that end's squared up and the other end's squared up and that sits on there, there'll be a gap. So the plan is to use the other bit of wood that we chopped off, which obviously matches this. We're going to chop that and put that in there, and then another piece to fill the gap in. Glue it, screw it, and then by the time it's all sanded, like I say, we're probably going to paint this anyway, so it will look like it was there from manufacture almost. So that will just follow that round and get this marked up, and we'll be one step closer to the new fridge. Got my square ends. Right. It's alright. Just need to chop this. We'll have to make that fit. That's the right width there to match that. But then we've still got a little gap there, so we need to make some sort of infill for that. Which we're looking at about 44mm. So we'll chop the end of that square, we'll chop a chunk 44 and we can glue it to this bit of cabinet, and then the only thing we've got to do then is fill the gap, which will be something like that. So then we'll chop another chunk, slot it in, we'll glue it, possibly screw it, and then we can fill the hole, because as I said, I want to paint the wood anyway. George doesn't want me to paint the wood, but I'm going to paint it anyway because it's a bit scabby. So that's the plan. So I'm going to chop this, chop a chunk for that, and then we come back. Alright, so that's the infill. We'll glue it all together, screw that bit in, and then we'll glue this in at the same time. And then hopefully we should fill the gap. Just offer it into place. Time we screwed that bit in, put some glue on that. Should look alright. Time we've filled the holes and sanded it, should be good. Check that fits alright. Then I think we'll just put some glue on. Take that off again. Now we've got the holes. Put some glue on it. And glue on the infill. And that's it. That should be job done. Come on. The excess glue off. I'll just poke this out a little bit, and I'll just leave that slightly proud, and I'll just run a sander block over it once it's dry. Otherwise, let's do that up. So that's that all done. This board now fits in here like that. So the only thing we've got left to do is just to make some little feet, little upstands for the bottom of this wood, the same height off the carpet as this little ridge that sits on there. At the moment it's sitting on the gas pipe, which we don't want. even though it's not being used anymore. But otherwise, that should do the job. New fridge deck. Let's hope it fits. Yep. Oh no. Not gonna fit. Right, so the new fridge, we always knew the wheel arch was going to be cutting into the space, but the fridge, the dimension drawings were showing a cutout. The fridge is just lying on its front there, leaning over. It was showing a cutout, but it wasn't really clear how much stuff was in the cutout that was going to interfere with it. So what we've done is I've loosened the condenser radiator, and this mark here marks the back edge of the wheel arch. The wheel arch comes up round there. That mark there is an extension of the top, so basically it's going to be cutting out that much. That's what we need to cut out. So with that loose, I can make a bracket for that to lean it over at an angle. We can cut this tray out. This support can move further forward, or possibly even across here. Might be better on there actually. And then we just need to make up an angle bracket to remount this. There's a bit of flex in the pipes, but not enough. If I could swing it back here, it'd be alright. But there's just not enough flex in these pipes, and I don't want to flatten one or kink it as I turn it. So that's about all we can do. We've already modified the cabinet, so we're kind of committed now. And I think I can take the pump off this tray and take this tray off. There's 2 screws there. There was another one over the back of the pump, and then 2 more on that side. I think I can take the tray off, take it down the workshop and cut it out, and then make a bracket for this. We'll see. I'm going to disassemble it first. Right, so we'll mark the bottom of this up. The lines are made before. And then we'll take it down the workshop and chop it all out. So that's the bit we need out, and then we'll try and move this support onto there. So we'll just cut out these raised parts of this so we can screw that on there, and then that'll give that some support. Right, so we've taken the edges off the support so we can put it around the other way. Put it on there, we'll mark it, drill it, tap it, and then that will sort of take position of the support that was there, so hopefully. And then I'm not sure, we might be able to use this to make a bracket if we clean it up and measure the size we need, fold it and then drill it. We'll see. Let's get this done first and then we can sort of put it back together. Right, so here's where we are. Cameraman's done a runner, but the plate's been cut. The support stay has had the flanges ground off, so we'll start putting it back together. Also roughly bent a plate to mount this. I'll need to get some holes marked down here to mount it on, but I'll get the plate back in and then we'll get it marked up. Right, so plan now, because we won't be able to access underneath this plate to screw into the bottom of this, we're going to use some VHB tape, which is 3M, really good stuff. We're going to use that and we're going to stick it to the top of the plate like that, and then we'll screw it to the bottom, and hopefully that should do the job. Hopefully one bit of better now. It's good stuff. Try and get it lined up. to it. Right, so we just check it's not going to be hitting anything. It's all clear. Tuck that back round there. Right, it looks good. Everything. So the only difference really is the wheel arch is going to be coming round there, be possibly slightly less airflow, but I don't think it's going to make quite that much difference because there's a nice big gap round here, so it's not like you've got a wall directly behind it. You've got a nice space here. It's just slightly restricted with the wheel arch. So time to see. It fits. Oh, but it does have to poke out a little bit because of the way this door opens. A bit like the other one really. But we sort of allow for that. You just have to make sure there's enough of a gap on there. So it's only a temporary fit, but it fits. Beautiful. Check the clearance at the back. There we go, it's actually more room than I thought, which is good. Looks alright, doesn't it? So there's the wheel arch, and that's the grille with the fan and the heat exchanger. And there's actually, can't get in there any further, but actually more room than I thought there was going to be. And what we could do is wire it up while we're here and see if it works. Check there's no voltage to this, and there's nothing. Millivolts. Right, so we'll wire this up, and then we can check it works. We're neating this up when we do it properly, and we'll take the connection blocks off the side so the fridge can slide back a bit further. So that was the supply to the three-way fridge heating element. We've got the mains cable that we're going to completely isolate because we're not using that anymore, and we've also got somewhere in here another cable which went to the electric ignition. This one. No, not that one. One of them. There's another 12 volt cable that went to the electric ignition for the gas on the old fridge. So I'm going to go and turn the power on, the 12 volt supply on, and then we'll measure the voltage. Right, so I had to start the engine because the leisure battery is knackered. So the fridge is working because I just turned it on. We're just going to check the voltage. So this is being supplied by the alternator basically, nearly 14 volts. But the fridge turned on, the pump's working, so we'll go and have a look at the display on the fridge. Right. Oh look, there you go, the freezer temperature. That's the current temperature of each, I think, the fridge and the freezer. But it's on, and it's working. So, well, we don't really want to leave the engine running, but we'll give it 10 minutes and see if it's cooling down.